and could even reach $5 by this summer. Pain at the pump has become a popular topic on the campaign trail, where candidates are promising they can fix the problem if elected. But what exactly is driving those prices sky high, and are there some realistic solutions on the horizon? Joining us this morning is Richard Slemaker. He's the publisher of Energy Magazine, and Bruce, president of Swift Energy. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Katie.
All right, Bruce, I'll start with you. There are a lot of misconceptions about what does and does not influence the price of gas. What's the number one thing that most Americans think that's not actually true?
That the oil companies control the price of gasoline. The fact is about 70% of gasoline at the pump, 70-75%, is actually the price of crude oil, which is really determined on the global market by supply-demand fundamentals primarily, along with global interruptions and hotspots throughout the world.
Just like everything else that we talk about, it's a commodity and it's traded, and that influences the price, just like orange juice, for example.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, certainly the people that grow oranges don't control the price of orange juice.
Exactly. And so let's talk a little bit about some other factors. Taxes. Everything's taxed in this country. We know that. We don't like to pay them. It's actually tax season, so this is a good thing to bring up. But there's a tax on gas, both at the federal level and at the state level.
Yes, it is. That's a large portion of what the price is. And if anything government can do to lower the price immediately is to lower the taxes on it, to allow us as consumers to buy more of the product we need.
And we've also been talking about the consequences of the political climate in oil-producing countries. We've seen a lot of unrest in some of those countries. Is that a real influence on what we pay at the pump?
It absolutely does influence it, but very much short-term volatility. Anytime you have disruptions or the perceptions you're going to have a disruption, like the current one is Iran threatening to close the Straits of Hormuz, that causes the price of crude oil to go up a little bit, and it does affect the price at the pump. But that long-term, it's really more supply-demand fundamentally based. That's why in this country we can do a lot with an energy strategy that gets the politics out policy, gets the hyperbole and misrepresentations out of the conversation, and deal in the long-term energy policy that advocates the development of fossil fuels in this country.
And this is one of Rick's favorite topics, the regulations that the industry is operating under right now. I think post-Macondo, which was such a game changer for everyone in the industry, right?
That's right. Well, what's happened is we've got regulations now that are punishing the industry like never before. We've got, which affect the price of bringing in the product. The safety rules excluded. When you take the pipeline and you put all these other regulations which make it difficult to even build a pipeline, then what you're doing is you're punishing the American public. And the government can stop that right now. Obama could pass a presidential edict that just says we're going to drill, we're going to let the pipelines come through, and we're going to produce all the above, like he keeps saying, but he doesn't really act like he's doing it.
And the president has brought up domestic supply in almost every speech on energy that he's given, and most recently he certainly said that, and there has been an emphasis on that in the debates that have been going on for the folks who want his job. Theoretically, what would the next administration need to do in terms of changing the energy policy?
Well, there are a number of things that they can do, but you have to recognize that short-term you're not going to have an immediate fix, but long-term you can. The industry has actually grown oil production in this country the last couple of years, but it's done it on private lands and on state lands, not really with the benefit of government supporting you. If we had the government opening up federal lands, lowering the regulation burden that the industry has, and actually advocating and supporting the industry, this industry could drive production to even higher levels that would ultimately bring lower prices for the American consumer.
Yeah, the word pipeline is kind of a loaded word. We have pipelines all over the country right now. People don't even know about them, but they hear the word pipeline and they say, not in my neighborhood, as if they're going to have some influence on that.
Yeah, there are probably pipelines in their neighborhood already.
That they don't know about.
One of the points that I want to push on what Bruce said is a lot of times there's some misunderstanding. When we're asking the government to let us drill on government lands, we're not talking about the national park or where the geysers are going. We're talking about land that's not in use, not parkland. When we're talking about the pipelines, we're talking about building additional pipelines along routes that have been established for years and years and years.
So this is not going to be new digging, so to speak?
No.
Not to be new digging.
It's been 25 years since we've had a new refinery built in this country, maybe even a little bit more. Why is that?
In large part because of regulation. The environmental regulations and the burden and the cost associated with that, along with the permitting process, just makes it too challenging. So many of them have been built offshore, either in the Caribbean or other places. In fact, if you really look at some of the East Coast refineries where they have having to suffer the higher cost of imported crude oil, some of them are actually probably going to close down in the next year or two. So we actually may have reduced refining capacity. Whereas the Gulf Coast, where you're able to refine different types of crude oil, we're seeing increased capacity, not new refineries, but some of the refineries are actually adding capacity, and that's going to be real important to the American consumer.
Sure is. Gentlemen, we'll have to leave it there for today, but thank you so much
for being here.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Complicated problem. All right, we have more information about gas prices right on our website. Just go to abc13.com. And coming up, we have another look at your forecast, plus one